Welcome to our second class. So let's get started with our warm-up. We're just going to do a few jumping jacks, so I want you to go ahead and stay along with me. We're just trying to get a little bit of blood flowing through our arms and our legs, through our whole body. From here, I want you to go ahead and put your hands on your hips. And what we're going to do is we're going to cross our legs, uncross. Cross them the other way, uncross. So it's just like jumping jacks, except for now we're crossing our legs. So we're getting a little bit more movement onto it. Trying to work on some coordination. You can start off as slow as you need to in order to actually get the footwork down with this. Or you can pick up the pace and go faster than me if you'd like. Either way is fun. Good. From here, let's go ahead and do some trunk twists. If you can, try to get some pops in your back. I always enjoy that. If not, don't worry about it. We're just trying to get a nice stretch in our back. Good. Grab your hips and make big circles. As big as you can, try to stretch out those hip flexors. From here, hands on your knees. Big circles with your knees. Just trying to get our joints all lubricated up, ready for some kicking. Good. Now we're going to go a little bit wide. I'm going to sit on one of these. We're going to go here. Try to have a little bit of a bounce to it, just so you can get some dynamic movement into it. And we'll go to the other side. Back to the first side. And switch. And switch. And switch. Good. Up, off to the side. Now, I want your foot flat, and I want kind of a bounce with this one. We're not going to hold it as much. We're just going to bounce up and down. Good. Now, let's go to the other side. Good. Back to the first side. Switch again. Now from here, turn the back foot up. That way we're changing the muscle that's being stretched. Again, we're still kind of having some bounce to it. We're not holding it yet. We're trying to get some dynamic movement in there. Switch. 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 Good. From here, bunch your feet together. And we're going to step forward into a lunge, bring it down, and step back. We're going to step with the other one, bring it down, and back. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do 20 of these on my count. Hana. Dollyo. Set. Net. Try not to touch your knee to the ground. That's it. Yes. Is it good? Quiero. Ahop. Yol. Yol hana. Yol dol. Yol set. Yol net. Yol dasut. Yol yasut. Yol ilgab. Quiero. Smul. Good. From here, let's go ahead and we're going to cover our high block. So we're going to start off in our junbei. So our junbei, our feet are about shoulder length apart. I'm going to go ahead and put my right hand across. I want you to mirror me and put your left hand across your belt. Your palm should be facing up. The other one is just come into this position right here. Palm facing me. When I do my high block, it's going to come above my head. We're about a fist away from our forehead. This is our high block. Now from here, we're going to bring this hand that just blocked down, bring it over. That's prepping for the next high block and high block. We're going to break this down into 4 counts. So left hand's across, right hand's up. This is hana. Dollyo. Arm comes down, arm comes across. Set. net. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. Good. Now we're going to try doing these on just 2 counts. So we're going to prep and do the block on 1 count, prep and do the block on the other count. So let's go ahead and just get prepped before. So left hand across, right hand up. 하나, 둘, 하나, 둘, 하나, 둘. Again, with this, we still want to have that twisting power right at the end as we finish our block. 하나, 둘. Oh, now let's do a little bit of footwork with this. So I'm going to step forward with my right. I want you to step forward with your left, so we're still doing mirror. We're going to prep, or your left arm's going to go across, step forward, high block. Good. Other side, step forward, high block. We're going to do 2 forward and 2 back. So I'm going to count to 4 on this. So go ahead and start in your junbei again. Set up. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. I want you to finish your block as your foot. So we start off touching it with first the toes of our feet, and then our heel ends up setting down. As we set our heel down, that's where we're going to finish our block. So start again. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. Good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn to one side or the other, and we're going to do our block. So if I turn to my right side, I'm going to block with my right arm. If I turn to my left side, I'm going to block with my left arm. I'm going to turn my back to you, and we're going to do the same side. I'm going to call out either left or I'm going to call out right, and we're going to do our high block. Right. Go back to center. Left. Back. Left. Back. Right. Back. Forward. If I said forward, you can do either side because I didn't specify. Left. Left. Right. To the rear. Good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to some kicking. So first I'm going to go over our sparring stance. We're going to start off in our junbei, and we're going to step back just like this. When we're in our sparring stance, we kind of have a little bit of a bounce to it. Our heels aren't ever going to be completely planted, so we're not going to have all of our weight in our heels. Our weight is going to be in the ball of our foot, and our heels are kind of coming up and down. I don't want you to be shifting back and forth. If you shift back and forth, it's easier for an experienced opponent to be able to time what your movement is. That way, if I shift forward, okay, all my weight's on this leg, so I obviously can't kick with that leg. And a more experienced opponent is going to be able to realize this. So we're going to be bouncing up and down. I don't want you coming off the ground, though. I just want you bouncing. So here we're in our sparring stance. One hand is in our chest level. We're protecting any kicks that comes to our chest. Our other one is going to be what would be blocking if we see a head kick coming. We put it up to block our head kicks. So we're bouncing. And now we're going to switch. So when we switch, if you notice, my chest is facing this way. When I switch, I'm going all the way to the other side. If you listen, you can hear my feet sliding across the floor. So I don't want you coming way up here, because if you get kicked as you're jumping for a switch, nothing's touching the ground. You're not grounded at all. You're just going to fall right over. So you want to stay grounded. Our feet stay really close to the ground. I'm sliding across it. As we switch, my hips that are facing one way are going to go all the way to the other side. And same thing, my hands replace themselves. I'm bouncing, switch. Bouncing, switch. All right, so we're going to switch on my count. If you can, try to switch faster than me. But if you can't switch faster than me, don't worry about it. Set. Net. Yes. Yes. Is up. Get up. Up. Good. Good. Go back to your junbei. Good. So remember, sparring stance, we step straight back. If you're ever competing in a tournament, remember, you have to step back. You're not allowed to step forward into your sparring stance. So we step back as we get ready for our sparring stance, get ready to start sparring. Now we're going to add in the first part of our roundhouse kick. So what we're really going to be focusing on with this is the pivot. If you notice, my toes are facing that direction. When I do this, I want my toes all the way back behind me, and I pivot back forward. We're really just trying to focus on the pivot today. It's pretty hard for beginners to actually start pivoting. When we start, we want to pivot on the ball of the foot. We don't want to pivot on the heel. One of the reasons why is if we're turning, say we're outside or we're in an uneven surface, and we turn on our heel, and our toes catch a rock or something, and our body keeps spinning, we can twist our knee and have knee injuries. Another is if we start to lose balance as we pivot on the ball of our foot, we drop our heel down to catch our balance. If we start to lose balance as we're pivoting on our heel, we're much more likely to fall instead of actually being able to catch ourselves. Either that or we're going to have to put the other foot down, which is going to stop whatever we were doing anyways. So we don't want that. So as I do this, I'm going to pivot all the way. I point my toes back behind me, and I bring it right back. So we're working on a full pivot forward and a full pivot backwards. On my count, we're going to start. Go ahead and put either leg back that you want. We're going to be switching. My count. And bring it back. And bring it back. Set. When we do this, my head, my hip, and my knee should all be in one straight line. I don't want to see this L shape that some people make. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it good? Yero. I hope. Good. And I am telling you to pivot this foot 180 degrees so that my toe is facing backwards. When we're actually doing this kick, we might not get a full 180 degree pivot. And that's fine, but we're going to practice now, making it harder on ourselves. That way, when the time comes, we can do it easier on ourselves, and it'll be fine. It'll just be an easier kick for us to do. So practice hard, fight easy. Now we're going to switch legs, and we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Set. Net. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it good? Yero. I hope. Good. Good. So that's how we would do. Say if we're doing our full roundhouse kick, we kick it and we're bringing it back behind us. But sometimes we're not going to be kicking and bringing it all the way back behind us. Sometimes we're going to be setting it down in front. So now we're going to practice here, and then we bring it back. As we rechamber for this, even though we're not doing the full kick yet, I turn and I pivot back. So my toes are facing there again as I set down. I pivot and then I come back. So turn and my hip does shift back. So I bring it back into this chambered position right here. From here to here as I set down. I don't want you to just kick and just bring it right down and fall right into it. I do want a nice control here and bring it down. So with this one, we're going to be moving. If you have space to move, go ahead and go down the floor with this as much as you can. If you don't have very much space, you can go, rechamber it, and then just kind of move back and do it again. So let's do this along with me. Start with your right leg back and go ahead and do one. Set it down. Good. Go. Set it down. We're going to do these nice and controlled. If you can do this slow, it's going to be easier to do it fast. Remember, when we train, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So as we start to get it slow, then we start to pick up speed and it's going to be easier. But if we can't do it slow, then we can't do it fast either. Good. Same thing. Turn and bring it down. So we want to have a nice control over our body. Good. Next thing we're going to do might be a little bit more complicated, but I think you can get it. So we're going to pivot here, and with this leg, I'm actually going to bring it right next to where my foot is, my base foot is. So as I bring it back, and I'm going to step back. So if I have a spot, say I'm kicking, and I'm kicking in line with this. My foot, that's where my base foot or my front foot is always going to be. Here, I step next to it and step back. As you start to get faster, you'll actually be able to kind of skip back a little bit with this. But for right now, we're going to do it slowly, and we're just going to pivot, step, and bring it back. So we're going to be staying in the same spot and still pivoting. Later on, you'll be able to do this with your roundhouse kicks, but we're just going to do it with the first part of it right now, just to kind of get the footwork down. Pivot and back. So let's go ahead and we'll do this on my count. Start with either leg that you want, because we are going to be switching legs each time. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯, 여섯, 일곱, 일곱, 아홉, 열, 열하나, 열둘, 열셋, 열넷, 열다섯, 열여섯, 열일곱, 열여덟, 열아홉, 스물. Good job on that drill. So this one can be kind of difficult, but as you start to get the pace, that's when I want you to start practicing pivoting or in going all the way back with kind of a skip. This will help you set up later on to follow along with more kicks afterwards. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach our front snap kick with the first part of our roundhouse kick. So as we do this, I'm starting with my right leg back. I'm going to do front snap kick. I set it down, and I'm going to pivot. As I land, I'm going to go ahead and I'm turn and face the other direction. This is going to enable me to be able to kick starting with the other leg. So we're going to be moving one direction for 2 kicks and then coming back for the other 2 kicks. So I'm going to count. One count is going to be both of the kicks. And then the second count is going to be moving back. Same thing. Start with either side that you'd like. And on my count. Hana. I still want a nice control. Don't just fall. 둘. 셋. 넷. I still want you to practice turning all the way with that foot. 여섯. Try to get your kicks up as high as you can. 여섯. 일곱. 여덟. 아홉. 열. 열하나. 열둘. 열셋. 열넷. 열다섯. 열여섯. 열일곱. 열아홉. 열아홉. 스물. Good job on that drill. So with that, you notice we're trying to connect kicks. As we were doing it, when we move from one kick to another, as soon as the kick that just landed lands, our momentum and our weight goes right on top of that as we continue moving our weight forward. Here, and I'm continuing this forward motion. I don't want to land and then kind of come back, kind of to cock it back to kick, I'm keeping my momentum going forward. And that's going to be how you do almost all of your kicking combinations, especially as you are moving forward. Later on, you might have some where you come back for like a spinning kick afterwards. But for the earlier stages, we're going to practice, we're doing one, and our momentum is coming forward with these. Now we're going to move on to a drill where we're using blocks along with our kicks. So we're going to practice our low block and our high block with this. And we're going to be using, again, these are for traditional blocks. So I'm still using both of my hands, and I'm kind of in a closer, more natural stance rather than our fighting stance where we're down low. So this is kind of going to help with our Pumse. And I want, same thing as before, as my foot completely lands, that's when my block lands. I want that power into it and a nice twisting motion at the very end. And then we're going to follow on with a few different things. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to stand in our Junbei stance. We're going to move to one side. You can pick either side. Again, we're going to be going back and forth with this, so it doesn't matter which side you decide to start with. Just know, if I turn to my left, I'm going to block with my left. Then we're going to step forward and high block. So again, it's the same side leg, does the same side arm with the block. From here, we're going to get our fist up. We're going to do our half of our roundhouse kick, and we're going to set it back down, and now we're back into our Junbei. And we're going to do the exact same thing, moving towards the other side. So I started with my left, now I'm going to go with my right. So I'm going to low block, I'm going to step forward, high block, and I'm going to do first part of my roundhouse kick, and I set it back down. Notice how I controlled the landing. I don't want to kick and just kind of fall over. I'm doing a nice control, and I set it down. Good. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back and forth. So I'm going to count for this. All three of those movements are going to be on one count. So again, you can start on whichever side you'd like. Hana. Doi. Set. Net. Das. Again, I want you to focus on hands and feet land at the same time. Yes. This is good. Yero. Up. Still getting a nice pivot on that bottom foot. Yero. Good. And that's just a way that we can combine some of our blocks along with our kicking motions. So we can go from one to the other. Same thing always applies though. Hands and feet land at the same time. And as soon as we finish, there's that power that's going to be inserted into it. We're going to use that twisting motion to get that power inserted to this. Now we're going to move on to your favorite portion of the class, the conditioning part. Again, this is probably going to hurt a little bit, but I want you to push through the pain. It's just going to make you stronger. So we're going to go ahead and use a wall. You can use a chair. Use anything that's going to help you take away balance. I don't want balance to be put into this equation. So I have in my hand a stopwatch. I'm going to be using 12 seconds each. We're going to do 3 sets. So I'm going to do 12, 12, and back and forth. So it's going to be a total of 6 times of 12 seconds between both of our legs. What we're going to do is we're just going to hold our leg out as high as we can, straight forward. So if you notice when I'm straight here, my leg is straight forward. My front or my base leg, my toes are going to be also pointed forward. I don't want them pointed off to the sides here. This is going to change what we're doing. It's just like when we do a front and snap kick, my toes are forward. If they turn slightly to the side, maybe 30 degrees, that's no problem, but I don't want you going more than 45 degrees of a turn with this. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to hold it out as high as we can. Try to get it above your waist level. It's very difficult and a lot harder than you would expect. So try to push it as much as you can and try not to set it down to the ground. If you start to have cramps in it, you can bring it down a little bit, but try to keep it up. Don't put it on the ground. Ready? Begin. Again, it's only 12 seconds, so it shouldn't be that hard, but you'll be surprised at the end of this how much it's actually going to start hurting. And that's 12 seconds on one side. Same thing, other side. Try to get above your belt level. You might start to feel cramps quite quickly, but just keep holding it. Push through it, push through it. It's just going to make you stronger. And 12. Don't worry if you think 12 is a little easy. We're going to move on to higher numbers later on. Ready? Go. And if it hurts, remember, I'm doing this along with you, so I'm going to be feeling it also. It's not you alone. Switch. And go. If you can start practicing bringing your toes back for later on kicks, having control over your feet. It's another thing you can do while we're working on this. And go. And last one. Ready? Go. Hold it. We're almost there. And time. Good job on that. I hope you're feeling it a little bit on top of your legs. I know I'm feeling it, so I'm sure you are too. So we're going to end the class on some nice stretches so we can help get our flexibility. So later on, we're going to have nice high kicks. Let's go ahead and start off just kind of how we started the class, but we're already going to start with our heel up, and we're going to be leaning back. You should be feeling the stretch right in here. Hold this for a few seconds. Lean back. You can push down on your hip if you'd like to go a little bit farther. Try to imagine that your hip is pushing straight down towards the ground. All right, and let's go ahead and switch sides. Good. Now let's put our feet together. And let's try to touch our toes as much as you can. If you can put your fist on the ground, grab your ankles as much as you can. I want you to focus on keeping your legs locked out though. I don't want bent knees. Legs locked out when you're doing this. Make sure we breathe. Don't hold your breath. Good. Now what I want you to do, I want you to go ahead and sit down. Just like this. We're going to start putting our foot to the inside of our knee. We're going to reach both hands and try to touch our toes. If you can, try to put your head down. Try to touch it to your knee. But if you can't do that, you can go right here, or even just right here is fine. If you're doing these at home and you're practicing these without me, you can, if you have a belt, you can put your belt onto it and to help pull yourself a little bit, to help push yourself with your stretching. Good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put this leg, came up, we're going to put it right here behind us. And what I want you to do is I want you to kind of lift yourself up and push, kind of like you're doing the splits, but with one leg back. As much as you can. If you can't go very far, that's fine. We're trying to push ourselves. We're trying to get better every day. So we'll go here. We should already start feeling it right here on the inside. You might be feeling a little bit on the other leg at the bottom. That's no problem. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing we did before and just reach for those toes. Again, if you can put your head down, you can go ahead and do that. If you can't quite do that, that's no problem. Just reach as much as you can. You can finger walk your way. Good. From here, we're going to go towards the center. So with this, you should start to feel a little bit of a twisting stretch right here in your leg. If you're not feeling that yet, go ahead and move yourself a little bit farther so your legs are a little bit farther apart, and then go down. Try to put your elbows down to the ground if you can. Put your chest down. If not, stay up as much as you can and just kind of finger walk your way forward and try to get your weight over this center area right here. You should feel it right here on this leg at the bottom, and you should feel a twisting stretch right here. Good. Last one we're going to do in this position is we're going to look over this shoulder. So this one might seem a little weird. You might not feel as much stretches, but what this is going to be for later on is this is going to be the position that we're going to be doing some of our kicks in. If you notice, this would be my base leg if I was standing up, and this would be my kicking leg. So this actually is going to help our back kind of get into this position that we're going to be kicking with later on. So if you can though, go ahead and just lean right over it. If you do feel a nice stretch, then that's good. Some people say they don't feel a stretch, and so I just want you to work on twisting, and you're getting used to this motion that you're going to be kicking on. Good. Now we're going to come up, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So starting off, bottom of the foot, right here on the inside of our knee, and we'll reach for our toes. Make sure you don't hold your breath. You continuously breathe. If you feel your muscles start to tighten up too much, I want you to focus on those muscles right where they are, and I want you to tell them to relax. You have control over your body. It might sound a little bit weird, but tell your muscles to relax. They'll notice as you start to do that, they start to tighten, and then they start to release. They start to tighten and release. Focus on that feeling of release and try to make it so your muscles do that. Good. From here, same thing we did before. This foot is going to come towards the outside. Right here, I'm going to lift myself up and push. That way I get a nice, my legs are quite a bit farther, and you can go ahead, if your foot's out here, if you can, bring it in towards you. And we're going to do the first one that we did, and we're going to reach for these toes. One of the most important things with stretching, though, is to constantly stretch. It's much more important to stretch, say, 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day even, rather than let me stretch 1 hour a day for, once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. It's better if you do 15 minutes, 10 minutes every day rather than one deep stretch every, so odd days. We want to keep a nice consistent stretch, and that's really going to help with our flexibility. From here, we're going to go sit up, and we're going to go straight to the center. As much as we can. Again, you should start to feel the stretch right here in the inside, and then a little bit of twisting stretch right here. And the last one we're going to do, we're going to look all the way over this leg. If you start to feel that in this position it's kind of loosened up, let's go ahead and push it a little bit more. Not too much, but a little bit more, so you constantly feel a little bit of a pull. And twist over this leg. If you can go ahead and try to lean forward towards it. If not, just work on the twisting motion. Good. Go ahead and stand up. Hands on your hips. Have a nice big circle. Good. Feet apart. And twist your hips. Good. And that concludes our class for today. Let's go ahead and bow out. Cherry up. Kunye. Have a great rest of your day.